Imagine the following. It's easy if you try. A lone astronaut steps onto the barren, gray surface of the moon, but instead of planting a flag, he watches as a massive robotic arm etches the foundation of a structure into the regolith. No steel beams, no construction crews, just the hum of machines printing a home in the dust. He walks toward it, a habitat rising from the lunar soil itself, the first step toward a permanent human presence beyond Earth. But what kind of civilization will it be? Because NASA plans to 3D print houses on the moon, a vision of robotic builders paving the way for human settlement. They call it progress, but is this the birth of a new world or an expensive monument to technological hubris? Before we celebrate, we must ask, what are we really building? Like, subscribe, and share the video, because the future depends on the choices we make today. Hello, I'm Gene Botkin, and today we'll be talking about NASA's plan to 3D print houses on the moon. NASA's Artemis program envisions a future where humans don't merely visit the moon, but stay there. The key to making this possible isn't rockets or space stations, it's construction. Transporting heavy building materials from Earth is impractical, so instead, NASA plans to use what is already there: lunar regolith. The dust and rock covering the moon's surface will be the raw material used for 3D printed homes created layer by layer by autonomous machines. The agency has partnered with Icon, a company that has already experimented with 3D printed homes on Earth. Their plan is ambitious. Specialized robotic printers will construct airtight, radiation resistant habitats, making long term lunar living possible. These structures will serve as homes, research stations, and industrial hubs, supporting human expansion into space. This is the promise of modern engineering, a future where machines lay the foundation for human civilization beyond Earth. But is it truly the beginning of a new era, or simply a high-tech outpost with no real cultural foundation? As NASA pushes forward, the question remains, what kind of society will rise on this new frontier? Humanity has always been driven to explore, from the ancient migrations that spread civilization across continents to the pioneers who braved the American West. Expansion has been both a necessity and a calling. But every frontier that thrived had one thing in common: a strong foundation, both physical and cultural. It was not enough to reach new lands. Those who succeeded had to claim them, tame them, and build them into something worth preserving. And the moon is no different. The Artemis program seeks to establish a permanent human settlement on another world. But permanence is more than technology and logistics. The homesteaders of the past did not wait for government contracts or bureaucratic oversight. They brought their families, their faith, and their vision. They risked everything to build communities that would last. Today's space programs talk of sustainability and innovation, but where is the spirit of true settlement? Will these printed habitats be the seeds of a real civilization, or are they nothing more than sterile research stations designed to be abandoned when funding dries up? The pioneers of old fought for a future, and if we are to claim the moon, then it must be with the same conviction, or not at all. NASA speaks of lunar settlements as an inevitability, but reality is less certain. The idea of 3D printed houses on the moon is bold. Yet even on Earth, the technology is in its infancy. A handful of experimental homes have been built, but scaling that to a hostile, airless world presents challenges beyond engineering. Lunar dust is razor sharp and clings to everything. Temperatures swing from boiling to freezing. Radiation bombards the surface, and no machine has ever attempted construction in such conditions. And then there is the issue of the cost. Artemis is already a multi-billion-dollar program, and while private companies like SpaceX are reducing launch costs, NASA remains a slow-moving bureaucracy. The lunar base, if it ever becomes reality, will require continued funding. But for how long? Because history warns of grand projects that were abandoned when the political will fades. The ancient Romans built roads that lasted for millennia, but the modern world struggles to maintain bridges for even a century. And if the moon is to be more than a science experiment, then it cannot rely on taxpayer dollars alone. A real settlement demands industry, self sufficiency, and private investment. Otherwise, it is not colonization. It is another expensive outpost, destined to become a relic the moment funding dries up. So it is worth considering. The moon offers a blank slate, but what will we write upon it? Because technology alone does not create a civilization. A habitat printed from lunar dust is an impressive feat of engineering, but a society cannot be built from algorithms and machines. It must be rooted in something deeper: shared purpose, culture, and belief. When the Pilgrims landed in America, they did not come as temporary visitors. They built communities, schools, and churches. They brought their traditions and their moral convictions, planting the seeds of a nation. But what will the pioneers of the moon bring? Will they be bound together by a common vision, or will they be little more than isolated researchers, disconnected from any deeper sense of purpose? Modern society often dreams of space as an escape from politics, from history, and from the problems of Earth. But no man escapes himself. If we bring the same decadence, the same aimlessness, and the same bureaucratic inertia that weakens our nations today, then the moon will be no fresh start. It will be a lifeless extension of a civilization that has already lost its way. The frontier belongs to those who build something worth defending, and without that, we will conquer nothing. The dream of lunar settlement is seductive. It offers a new world, a fresh start, and a testament to human ingenuity. But technology is not enough. We can print shelters in the dust, but will they stand the test of time? The greatest civilizations, after all, were not built by engineers alone, but by men with vision, courage, and conviction. Without these, no machine, no scientific breakthrough, and no government program can create anything lasting. If the moon is to be more than an outpost, then it must be settled with grand vision and purpose. It must be a place where people build and not merely visit, a place where risk is embraced and where hardship is overcome, where something greater than technology guides the future. Otherwise, we are sending robots to lay the foundations of a city that will never be built. Do you believe that it is still possible to create an inspirational vision for lunar colonization? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And while you're down there, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with your friends if you believe that exploration must be driven by more than technology alone. With Elenarda, I'm Gene Botkin. End transmission.